Seems to be some good news leading into this one, and hopefully it's going to go a bit better than the Crystal Palace game did. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today we are going to be talking about the second of 4 London derbies we are opening the Premier League with. It is tomorrow night's game against West Ham United. We're going to talk some team news, we're going to do our predicted lineups, and we're just going to talk about how we think we're going to do in the game in general. But guys, before we get into it, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. So I think we can reasonably take a little sigh of relief for this upcoming game. So West Ham got absolutely battered by newly promoted Sunderland 3-0 in their opening game of the Premier League season. And you know, that's after the really tough game we just had against Crystal Palace. I think at least what that tells you is they are just not as a well-drilled team as Crystal Palace are. Do you know what I mean? Graham Potter, obviously, we all know Graham Potter very well, and for me, that was one of the most difficult managerial appointments we've had in the last few years. I really liked the idea when he came in because he did really well at Brighton, right? But yeah, it was just cringe, man. He was so cringe, those press conferences, and when he was trying to give it a bit, do you know what I mean? It was just absolutely not his character at all. He came in with the glow up and they, gave him the shave and the turtlenecks and stuff, and then he started trying to swear in press conferences, and it was like, mate, you're just not the guy, are you? And it's one of those, isn't it? Because he's gone on to West Ham, he took quite a big break. It was like a year he's gone on to West Ham, and he is really not doing well there at all. They have had lots of key players leave. It looks like Paqueta might be on his way out. They've already lost Mohamed Kudus. They haven't replaced him with anyone good, and if that game against Sunderland is anything to go by, then you could reasonably assume that West Ham might be in a relegation battle this season unless things change really quickly. I think most people have probably got Graham Potter down for the first manager in the sack race this year. I certainly have. And I think you can bring another manager into that team. There's still the likes of Jared Bowen around, and Michail Antonio has been really good in spits and spats. I think an Everton situation could happen. If you bring the right manager in, they would at least probably steer quite clear of relegation, albeit not have an amazing season. But that's enough about West Ham. Let's talk about Chelsea and why I think we're going to do well in this game. So the first thing, and this is a little spoiler for my predicted 11, but Tosin Adarabioyo has been seen training with the first team. So that would kind of indicate that he is at least going to feature in this game, if not start. That's really good because Josh Acheampong had a great game against Crystal Palace, don't get me wrong, but it's just about putting pressure on a 19-year-old kid, man. Do you know what I mean? We really desperately need to win this game now. It's so important to get 3 points on the board. We nothing other than a win is good enough for this game, especially seeing as West Ham just came off of a 3-0 loss against Sunderland, right? So I'm going to go into my predicted lineup for this game. And as ever, we will start with the goalkeeper. And of course, it's going to be Robert Sanchez, right? Barring any last-minute injuries or crazy stuff, I think we can reasonably expect to see Robert Sanchez in the sticks for the majority of the season, and today is no different. He actually played well in the Crystal Palace game. At the end of the day, we came out with a clean sheet. So as far as the defence and the goalkeeper goes, they did their job. It was, our blunted attack that was the issue in that game. Robert Sanchez made some good saves, good decisions, a bit I said it in my match review, a bit wayward with some of the long passes. They seemed to be bobbling around a lot, and a couple of times also really good intention. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully we see a bit more of that intention today. And with West Ham being a bit less organised than Crystal Palace were, maybe we could see Robert Sanchez get involved a bit in actually the creative build-up of the game this time. And swiftly, we move on to the right back, and it's the right back, right centre-back, little bit inverted midfield. We're going to have to start coming up with new names for all these positions soon, aren't they? Because it's just getting a bit wild. But it's Reece James. It's Captain Reece James. He played well for the most part, in the last game. Didn't really do anything wrong. We didn't necessarily see his most creative aspects. But again, I think when you've got Josh Acheampong covering that middle role, I said it about Caicedo as well in the last game, do you know what I mean? Maybe he wasn't able to be quite as creative and influential as he might usually be because you've got to make up for the fact that you've got a 19-year-old marshalling the middle of your defence playing this really important role, right? So I maybe if Tosin Adarabioyo starts, and we'll get onto that, but if Tosin is there, then maybe we see a little bit more of that creative element from Reece James in this game. Either way, it's just so good to be able to even say, isn't it? It's so good to be able to even say, I think Reece James is going to start this game 2 games in a row, because he seems to be back to full fitness now. Do you know what I mean? And we still need to be careful with him. It might be a case of he can't play 3 games in a row, or especially when it gets to the 2 games a week sort of thing, we're not going to see him play both games a week because we've still got to be careful with him. But when there's a week between games and didn't get injured and he's got good recovery time, I love the fact that we can finally just say, yes, Captain Reece James is probably going to start this game. So I will move on to the centre-backs, and as I've spoiled one already, we'll talk about that. I think Tosin Adarabioyo will start this game, and I think he needs to, because we need to see, as I've just sort of mentioned it, I think that when we have a less confident centre-back covering that middle role, I think that hampers the likes of Caicedo and Reece James a little bit for being able to get a bit more involved with their attacking aspects of their game, right? Because we're like, okay, we've really, really got to defend this, screen and take care of this player in Josh Acheampong to make sure that he's got the room to grow in this kind of role that we're asking him to do. So Tosin Adarabioyo, if fit, and as I said, it looks like he's been seen training with the team, and I would hope that means that he's ready to start. I actually saw it was like precautionary to take him off in the first place, and it kind of has to be, doesn't it? Because I don't think it was a mad injury, but at the same time, it's like you just can't risk losing Tosin for a prolonged period of time while we haven't got another centre-back to play this role, and we've obviously just lost Levi Colwill. So Tosin Adarabioyo gets the start for me, and he's really, really proved himself over the last, few months or whatever. And for the most of last season as well, to say he came in on a free and it was a bit of a throwaway signing at the time. Ultimately, he's the most experienced head in our team. He's Uncle Tosin, the oldest player. And yeah, man, I expect him to come in, and hopefully that really allows the rest of our team shape to be the way it should be, because the likes of Reece James and Caicedo hopefully will be able to get a bit more involved in that attacking stuff, because Tosin is a bit more solid. Onto the other centre-back, and I expect it to be Trevoh Chalobah. Trevoh Chalobah, it seems to be now the de facto choice for the left side of the back 3 and the centre-back partnership with whoever that passing guy is going to be. He's apparently, not really trusted to play this kind of quarterbacky centre-back role, do you know what I mean? That's very much building the attack in this, that and the other. He can do things like ping really nice long diagonal passes over to the right-hand side from that left, as we saw with Pedro Neto, but he plays in that role really well. Badiashil's still out. Do you know what I mean? Badiashil's going to be out for a while yet. So Trevoh Chalobah's been playing a lot of games recently, and it makes sense to start him in that role. Left back, Marc Cucurella. A lot of these are going to be the same as last time, to be honest. But Marc Cucurella is just an amazing player, man. And he's so versatile. And it'd be interesting to see what he can do, because that's the thing with a more solid backline. Maybe he isn't tasked with going forward as much, which will give someone like Reece James a little bit more license, or, maybe he becomes a byline guy. It can just, from game to game, what Marc Cucurella's role is can change at the drop of a hat. He can be that left centre-back role. He can be that number 8. He can play in that number 10. He can do that byline winger stuff to allow your left winger to come inside a bit more and get involved in the attacks. It's always a bit of who's who, where Marc Cucurella is concerned in where he's going to play in a game. But what you never think about is who else is going to play there. Obviously, Yoro Hato is in the team now, but we just don't need to start Yoro Hato because Marc Cucurella is fit. Maybe he gets brought on later and gets a bit of experience if we're winning the game or something. But ultimately, Yoro Hato is going to have to play his way into the team, and I would be surprised if he got the start over Marc Cucurella in this game. Okay, so centre midfield, Moises Caicedo gets the start because, again, kind of like Cucurella, he's just one of the untouchables in the starting 11 at the moment, isn't he? He just plays really, really well every single game for ages now. Do you know what I mean? We haven't really had any issues with Moises Caicedo for a really, really long time. Moises Caicedo, for me, in the last game, played a much more defensive role, and as I've said a couple of times, I think that was probably to reinforce the defence because Tosin Adarabioyo wasn't there and we were throwing Josh Acheampong into this new role. But if I am right and Tosin does get the start, then maybe we can expect Caicedo to try a bit more of that attacking intent that we've seen from him recently, and he's on the way to unlocking his inner Fabregas, isn't he? And that's really, really exciting. There just isn't really much of another choice other than Moises Caicedo. Sorry, I'm still struggling to get that one into my head. I've been saying Moises for so long. But at the end of the day, he's up there with the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, man, as Cucurella is with, left backs as well. And it's just be absolutely crazy as long as they're fit and they haven't played loads of games recently, which they haven't because we've only just started the season. It's fair to assume Moises Caicedo gets the start against West Ham. So I'm going to go a little bit maverick with my next midfield decision, and I'm actually going to say Andre Santos. I think I would like to see get the start. Enzo Fernandez, didn't play badly in the last game, but he didn't play particularly well. Do you know what I mean? He didn't really link the play together or get forward a lot, or he was a little bit of a passenger for me in the last game. And I think he needs to not rest on his laurels, and just because he's had a really good season last season, I think someone like Andre Santos needs to come in and push him a little bit, because one of two things can happen there. Either Enzo Fernandez ups his game, or Andre Santos starts trying to battle with him properly for that role. And yes, I know Andre Santos kind of ruined that very last chance that we got in that game, but the fact that he got that chance in the first place shows you that he's getting in those right spaces and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I would like to see Andre Santos start this game, because I think he's a really, really good player. Maybe I was a little bit cavalier at the start of this whole thing. When we brought him back, I was like, he's going to challenge Enzo Fernandez for that spot. But I do think in the West Ham game, it wouldn't really be a risk, and it could benefit our team, right? If we've got lots and lots and lots of energy and lots and lots and lots of pressing and running, and we can send loads of people forward, like Andre Santos, obviously, most recent achievement from him was he got that really nice assist for Liam Delap's goal in the pre-season game against AC Milan, wasn't it? So yeah, I would actually really like to see Andre Santos in this role, and I think that Enzo Fernandez needs to win his spot back a little bit, and he's done that a few times. Do you know what I mean? So, and again, I'm not saying he played badly, but I'm saying he didn't play well enough just to instantly go, it has to be Enzo Fernandez in this game. Right, so the attacking midfield three. I am actually going to go with exactly what I went with in the last one, and I think that it was kind of proved a little bit why as well. Cole Palmer is going to get that start in the middle, and I do not expect him to be marked out of the game quite as harshly as he was against Crystal Palace. The Crystal Palace game was less about Chelsea. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chelsea 100% could have played better. Cole Palmer 100% could have played better. But they executed their defensive plan so well. It was top tier, man. It was really, really top tier. And I guess the thing is, it'll be interesting to see over the first 10 games of the season how Crystal Palace do, because if they're able to do that to us, and if they're able to do something similar to the likes of Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool and all these other big teams, it'll be really interesting to see whether that will tell us then, was it Chelsea that weren't good enough, or are Crystal Palace really on something special here? They have just announced the here we go for Eze to Arsenal, and I'm expecting to see Mark Guehi go to Liverpool soon as well, so it'll be interesting to see if they fall off without those two players. But those two players are really important cogs in that machine, but that machine was so well organised, and that is actually down to a lot more than Eze and Mark Guehi. So Cole Palmer for me gets the start in the centre attacker midfield, and I would imagine to see him have a bit more freedom than he did in that last game, and hopefully we can see him do something special against West Ham. So on the left wing, I'm going to say Pedro Neto, and the thing is, I think Pedro Neto is just going to start one way or the other. Do you know what I mean? In the majority of these games, until Jamie Gittens is looking like fire. Do you know what I mean? Until he's looking like he's really started to catch fire, Pedro Neto is just going to get the start in these games because he's so reliable. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, the question is kind of between Estevao and Jamie Gittens, isn't it? It's not necessarily a Pedro Neto thing for me. And I think whoever's playing better out of Estevao and Jamie Gittens, Pedro Neto at the moment will play on the other side. So obviously that spoils my right-hand side, but I think Pedro Neto will get the start on the left in this game. And by default, I think Estevao Willian will get the start on the right. I think he came on in that game against Crystal Palace, and after only being on the pitch for a few minutes, looked like he was going to make something happen with that cross that went over to Pedro Neto. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, yes, it was really difficult for the rest of the game, and he didn't end up living up to that expectation. But after like 60, 70 minutes of really stodgy, difficult football, Estevao Willian came in and instantly looked like he was going to make something happen. I think he played so well in pre-season. And do you know what? This is kind of really hypocritical from me. I'll be completely honest, because I've been the one saying for all of this time, we can't just expect Estevao to come into the team, and we're going to have to wait for him to bed in and stuff. And that was making the assumption that there would be a bit more time needed for him to look, for instance, look at Jamie Gittens. Do you know what I mean? Jamie Gittens, you can see that there's a player there, and you can see what he's trying to do, and you can see what will happen when he catches fire and when he starts doing really well. But he's going to have to get used to playing in England and with his new team and whatever. But Estevao was just starting to look like that special player who all of that is just kind of beyond him. Do you know what I mean? He just wants to get on the pitch and play football and make things happen. So I think we need to try it at the very least. And if anything, it'll be in the reverse of what happened last time. Do you know what I mean? I think if we give Estevao the chance to get to West Ham, Jamie Gittens will come on later if we need him to, or one way or the other. If we've got a goal, and then there's an opportunity for him to come in and get some minutes, and if we haven't got a goal, there's an opportunity for Gittens to come on and try and make something different happen, right? But yeah, for me, Estevao, I really want to see him given that shot now. And I think West Ham is not a terrible, obviously they just got battered by Sunderland. They're probably not going to be in their best of spirits because that was a really difficult game for them. So maybe this is a good opportunity to put Estevao, Willian in the team to try and take advantage of that and make something magical happen. And up top, I'm going to go with João Pedro again. Now, I know João Pedro did not play particularly well in the last game, but again, him and Cole Palmer, they were just completely cut out of the game, man. And that was, for me, 100% down to Crystal Palace's amazing organisation. For the same reason that I think Cole Palmer could well do good in this game, I also think that João Pedro will find better opportunities to drop deep and link up. And with a player, another magical player like Estevao Willian on the right, I think that could just give everyone space and fluidity to rotate and, really, really confuse West Ham's backline. And Graham Potter, and could just confuse Graham Potter and not be able to kind of predict necessarily what's going to happen. I do think in general, Graham Potter will have looked at the Crystal Palace game and gone, oh, look, they marked out Cole Palmer and João Pedro out of that game completely, so let's absolutely try and do that. But Graham Potter isn't as good as Glasner, do you know what I mean? And I would argue that West Ham's players aren't as good as Crystal Palace's players either. Just by looking at their finishing league positions last season, you can see that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that is where I'm going to go. João Pedro up top for me seems like a good idea. I think can be flexible and fluid, and we have seen him absolutely create magic. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, I don't think we should use the Crystal Palace game as a stick to beat him with because he didn't manage to get involved in it. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's my starting 11 for the game. I really, really want to see your starting 11s. Do you disagree with me? Do you think that Jamie Gittens deserves another shot? Do you think that Liam Delap deserves a shot because he did nearly make something happen? He had our first shot on target in the second half in the Crystal Palace game. He came in and really made a difference. Tell me what you think, guys. Tell me what you think. Do you think Tosin is going to play this game, or do you think Josh Acheampong deserves that shot because he did really well in the Crystal Palace game? That is it for me. I'm going to wrap it up here. Nice one, guys. I'm actually not going to be able to watch the game, so I will still come back and report on it, and I'll look at the highlights and stuff, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to be there in the moment as I am away doing something else. But either way, I can't wait for it. Come on, you Blues. I'm pretty sure we're going to smash this one. Nice one, guys. I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.